מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו אל הר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. Some of you do have faces. And you don't look angry all the time. It's so nice. And we can hear you singing. Many advantages of not having to wear a mask, still keeping the distance, the appropriate distance. Welcome to those of you who watch us from home. I assume you're not wearing masks as well. And you're more than welcome to sing with us. We continue with Yismechu, this song that we really try to make you love. And we never know if you don't like it or we cannot see you singing and smiling because of the things on your faces, but we'll test tonight.
Today we'll find out.
Yeah, let's find out.
Shabbos Kodesh, Shabbos Kodesh, Shabbos Kodesh, Shabbos Kodesh, Shabbos Kodesh,
Shabbos Kodesh,
Shabbos
Shabbos Kodesh, Shabbos Kodesh. It's the greatest hit in the Hasidic world. Embrace it. לך דודי.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבורך, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נשוכה. מעשה ומחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת
נקבלה.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי כי בעורר, קומי אורי אורי אורי, שיר דבר כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
If you are able, we rise as we face the entrance to welcome Shabbat, the bride.
בואי ושלום, העטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה
ורצון לך
תוך אמוני העם סגור. בואי חלה,
שבת
חלה,
לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני continue now with the prayer of gratitude. And before we sing it, I would like to ask if anyone wants to share something good that happened to you. Wow, Carol, you raised your hand before I had a chance even.
Well, I'm very grateful. I had my 6-month checkup today.
6-month checkup.
And the doctor came in and she said, not only are your labs good, they're very, very accurate.
Very, very good results.
2.5 years in remission.
2.5 years.
Yeah. Wonderful. Very good.
Wonderful. Shelley.
Hi, my daughter Hillary and my son-in-law Jeremy are expecting their first baby.
Oh, wow.
I have a granddaughter due on my grandson's birthday.
Wow. So Hillary, Shelley's daughter, is expecting a baby. I'm repeating for the sake of those of you who watch us from your homes. And wow, another wonderful news. Norma is here, always a... Please, but you have a huge voice, we know that, so use it.
My name is Norman Yohei. I've known Ron Kelly for a long time. And I came down originally. Yeah, a long time. So I came down in October. My dad had COVID. He was 2.5 weeks at 95 in the ICU. I came to basically bury him. I got to see him on an iPad to say goodbye. So that night we're at their house, planning his funeral. And 3 days later we took him out. So since then, I thought that was a great miracle. He's gone through a lot of times in the hospital with, ICU and UTI infections, and all these great things that happened. He walked into the hospital originally walking, talking, driving, playing bridge and golf, and left on a gurney not doing any of those things from that side. So it's been a long recovery. So recently, 2 years ago, he had radiation, and he had a tumor in his brain, and it ended up, after 2 years, I guess, not working. So he decided he had a choice, steroids for life or brain surgery. 95, this is kind of a little crazy. So we went to the University of Miami, and on Wednesday at 4:30, we went in after all these testing to make sure that he wouldn't die on the table. Thursday morning at 7:55, 11:30, he came out of recovery, and 24 hours later, I just brought him home today. They took out a tumor the size of a fist, a human fist.
Wow.
So we got a little recovery to go through, but I'm very grateful that I'm 64, my dad's 95, my mom's still alive, so I'm really grateful to share with everybody the story of Walter.
Thank you, Norman. And we're blessed to know your father, Lenny, and he's a wonderful guy, and we're happy that he's doing better. 95 used to be old, right, Leona? No longer. Thank you. Anyone from the house shared anything?
Haley is grateful that her birthday is coming up and she's celebrating with her friends and family. Christina is grateful that they're able to celebrate their 20th anniversary this week. Happy anniversary. And MJ is grateful for us, always on key. I only read what it says.
And nobody mentioned your new guitar.
Oh, I like my new guitar. I'm grateful for my new guitar. And for the beautiful wedding of my younger sister that I was able to attend last weekend. Very grateful to welcome new members of our family. Tov lahodot. מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני טוב להודות לאדוני לזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון להגיד בבוקר חסדי
לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
שלום עליכם, מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. בואכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. באוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. We will welcome Shabbat officially with the lighting of candles. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. We continue now with Baruch Hu, the call to worship. If you are able, please rise.
continue reading together. Bless Adonai, who spins the day into dusk.
With wisdom watch the dawn gates open. With understanding let time and seasons come and go.
With awe perceive the stars in lawful orbit.
Morning dawns, evening darkness. Darkness and light yielding one to the other. It is distinguished and unique.
Marvel at life, strive to know its ways. Seek wisdom and truth,
the gateways to life's mysteries.
wondrous indeed.
It is the evening twilight.
Umavir yom, umevi laila. Umavdir ben yom uven laila. Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam. Tamidim lochaleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamari v'Aravi.
Amen. Before we continue with the prayer of Shema Israel, I invite you to take a moment to relax, to unwind. Perhaps you want to close your eyes and take a deep breath in and slowly breathe out. Let's take another deep breath in and out. Let's take this opportunity as Shabbat begins to have our weekly conversation with God. We can tell God anything we want. We can thank God for the blessings in our lives. We can share with God our fears, our questions. We can even complain and protest. As long as we pause and we listen. Let's take another deep breath in as we breathe in the warmth of Shabbat, of our community. And let's breathe out our pain, our frustrations, our fears. It's time to let go of everything we need to let go of. And together, still with our eyes closed, let's say the words of Shema Israel.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
And we slowly open our eyes.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. We read the words of Ve'ahavta in English. You shall love Adonai your God with all your mind, with all your soul, and all your strength. Set these words which I command you this day upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way. When you lie down and when you rise up, bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be a symbol before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך ואהבת את אדוני as we relive this moment at the other side of the Red Sea. And I invite you to join me in this call and response. Mi chamocha, bailim Adonai.
נדר בקודש
נורא
תהילות עושה מלכותך ראו בניך
בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים
אדוני ימלוך
לעולם ועד,
לעולם ועד. Last I checked, the death toll at Surfside, the building that collapsed in Miami, was 79, and they expect the number to rise. The more I read, the more it's clear that it was not what we call an act of God or act of nature. Somebody messed up, or more than one person. Either the original building, the engineers, some of the inspectors that did not realize how acute and imminent the danger was. Perhaps the people who were in charge of the building that just took their time and didn't do anything. But nobody assumes that there was any malice there. It was an accident. Our Torah portion introduces us to the concept of Ir Miklat, city of refuge, or sanctuary city. Who goes to this one of 6 cities? The Torah tells us if a person kills somebody unintentionally, accidentally, she or he has to run to one of these cities. And why is that? Because in biblical times, not only in the Israelite tradition, but in many others, there was a concept of Goel Dam, blood avenger, which means that if, for example, I killed somebody else's brother, that person has to kill me. He has to avenge the life of the dead brother. Now, if it was an accident, I should not be killed. So the only way to avoid it is to run to one of these refuge cities, and these cities were closed. They were run by Levites, they were closed, and the avenger was not able to get there. Now, while the killer is there, the court checks if it was really an accident or perhaps it was a real murder, right? If it was premeditated or an unintentional killing. If it was premeditated, the court knows what to do, right? The Torah is very clear. Somebody who murders has to be put to death. If it was an accident, the killer stays in one of these 6 cities for how long? This is really interesting. Until the death of the high priest. Now, that's not really easy, or how can we determine how long? Because a person can go there when there is an old and ill high priest, and 2 months later he's free. Or somebody can go there when a young, healthy high priest just begins his tenure and stay there for 35 years. But this is a problem we're not going to deal with right now. The question that is quite interesting is, what is the connection between the death of the high priest and the accidental killer? Maimonides, some 850 years ago or so, has a really interesting answer. He tells us that when the high priest dies, it's a devastating event for the entire community. The whole community mourns and grieves because everyone loves the high priest. And we unfortunately witness events like a national disaster. And what happens when a national disaster occurs? Everyone is nice to each other. Right? People are more compassionate. They're friendlier. They want to help. They want to do something. Right? Some of us, most of us here remember September 11th. Some of you remember Kennedy and Martin Luther King and some other. When there's a hurricane here in our community, people are so happy to help. It doesn't matter all of a sudden who is Republican, who is Democrat. All these things that normally separates us just go out of the window, and people are cooperating. They're helping. They're more willing to forgive, Maimonides says. So because of this national trauma, if you will, this national mourning, the avenger loses his or her desire to avenge. So, okay, it was an accident. I know my brother died, but it's time to move on. And besides, the killer paid the price too. He spent many years or some in this city of refuge, and there's a pain when we cause an accident, even if it's not our fault. We still did it. So that's what Maimonides says. It's a psychological explanation. However, the Mishnah, about a millennium before Maimonides, tells us something quite surprising. The Mishnah tells us that the reason that the person stays there until the death of the high priest is that accidental killings are the fault of the high priest. And why is that? The Mishnah tells us, because the high priest did not pray well. He didn't really know how to communicate well with God. He did not create this connection between the people and God, and therefore God allowed these accidents to happen and for innocent people to lose their lives. sounds a little bit weird, right? Just because the high priest is not a good davener, people have to die. But I believe that the Mishnah had a much deeper meaning here. It's not about the quality of davening, of praying of the high priest. The high priest is the one who is ultimately responsible for the moral state and the culture of the community. We know that accidents will always happen, but there are places that have more accidents than others. Think about car accidents. There are places when a driver gets into normally it's his car, his personality changes completely. All the other cars on the road are enemies that he has to defeat. I know it from Israel. Definitely some New Yorkers know exactly what I'm talking about. We know it in European cities, places like Italy, right? It's just, you're on the road, you become an aggressive human being. So when there's a culture of aggression, more accidents happen. Or when leadership decides, some of them decide to invest a lot in infrastructure and other safety elements, and others just don't want to spend the money and the means on that, so there are more accidents in places like that. We're lucky here. Whenever I drive on 95, I say, wow, there's almost never traffic there. It's wide, it's nice, it's safe. But then you drive in other places and say, wow, how can people even survive? Right? So, and the Mishnah sees the high priest, meaning the leader, the spiritual, but not just the spiritual leader, as the one who sets the agenda. Yes, safety is important. Having people respect each other, help each other rather than being so aggressive and in a constant conflict, it's the high priest's responsibility. And this is an interesting way to look at the connection between the death of the high priest and the number of accident or accidental killings that happen in a community. That person, the high priest, should have tried and worked much harder to create a different kind of culture in his community. Make people more loving, more compassionate, more friendly. I think it's a beautiful teaching, but in preparation for this week, I came across a commentary that I've never seen before. It's a modern one, and it was written by a rabbi who is a chaplain, Rabbi Meir Levy. I don't know him, but I really loved what he wrote. So when he describes the cities of refuge, he invites the readers to think about the pain that the accidental killer feels. You took somebody's life. Yes, it was not your fault. It was an accident. The car broke, something was on the road. It doesn't really matter. Intellectually, you know that it's not your fault, but you still feel guilty. Because of you, somebody is no longer alive. You feel rejected in a way by the community and often by God. I killed. It's very hard to live your life after doing something like that, pretending that it never happened before. And I'm not even talking about the family of the victim. I'm just talking about the family of the accidental killer. And therefore, says Rabbi Levy, the Torah wanted us to have the cities of refuge, or as I mentioned before, they're also called sanctuary cities. So what is a sanctuary? Sanctuary means a safe place. Right? We know from all cultures, when a person runs from the authorities, they run to the sanctuary. And the police and the army are not allowed there. It's a safe place. In the Jewish tradition in the Bible, they would hold the altar. And supposedly when one holds the altar, they are safe. So this is one kind of a sanctuary. And in these sanctuaries, the cities of refuge, nobody was able or allowed to kill them. But that's not all. Not only that they were physically safe, they feel so rejected as they normally were. Because in a sanctuary, who dwells in a sanctuary? God. And the message was that God does not reject you despite what happened. God accepts you despite what you have done. And it's not only God. Who are the other people in this city of refuge? People who have a similar experience. It turns into a support group of people who really understand the pain, the rejection, the guilt that the other people feel. There are things that unless it happened to you, you don't really know how it feels. But when we spend time with other people in similar circumstances, they get you. And it helps to heal. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful interpretation. And I think that we can take it even one step further. Because in these cities of refuge, you learn that ultimately you're not rejected. You are forgiven by people and God for the ultimate crime, if you will, killing. So if God and others can forgive you for killing, even more so, the community and God will forgive you for other transgressions. So I think it's a beautiful gift that the Torah presented the ancient Israelites. You're going to be safe physically. Nobody can harm you if it was really an accident. But when you're there, it's not a punishment. You're not in jail. But you spend time with people who support each other. And God, who ultimately will teach you to forgive yourself and to get ready to rejoin your community. If you're able, I would like to invite you, please, to rise for the Amidah.
And if you're joining us from home and you'd still like to add a name to the healing list for tonight, please do so at this time. Adonai sefadai tiftach ufi agitei latecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Libnei Bneihem, Ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Morid atah. Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בגבורות ומדם מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. Adonai Suri Begoali. Go inside your heart, just be. Go inside your heart and see what it wants, what it needs, what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the words of my mouth, meditations of my heart be kind, be true. May they be acceptable to you, oh my rock and my Redeemer.
We continue now with the healing service with the Mishaberach. If anyone would like to mention the name of a loved one who is ill and in need of healing.
Andrew Papas, Ed Yonkers, Lee Sims, Bailey Leno, Diane Culp, Tina Harker, Joyce Holcomb, Jeff Thornton, Jeff Atlas, and Terry Goodman. Nishe
conclude the service with Aleinu and then the Kaddish. If you would like to mention a name that you remember today on the occasion of your side, please write it in the chat box. And those of you who are able, please rise for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהן, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
If you're observing a yahrzeit or you're doing the period of Shloshim, the month of mourning, please remain standing. As we remember today, Rose Abramowitz, mother of Mori, Benjamin Edelman, stepfather of Myrna, Frances Kaplan, mother of Judy, Shirley Chernson, mother of Mark, Paul Cohen, uncle of Bruce, Robert Landy, father of Sue and grandfather of Howard, Henrietta Myron Salzberg, grandmother of Tracy, Evelyn Goldman, mother of Barbara, Lillian Chomsky, sister of Shirley, Emmanuel Joshua Feinhandler, father of Robin, Samuel Scheck, father of Carol, Felix Gams, father of Jackie, Helen Hockman, mother of Bob, Barry Kaufer, father of Philan, David Stewart, father of Rookie, Marcy Abrams, mother of Rhonda and Judy, Warren John Paul, Sharon Miller, wife of David and mother of Shelley, James Miller, brother of David and uncle of Shelley, Mary Elizabeth Farrell, mother of Maura, Leo Ornstein, father-in-law of Doris, William K. Erlanger, brother of Doris, Elroy Sanquist, brother of Peter, Bella Schiller Gottlieb, sister of Louis, Brian David Kasser, son of Frank, Ethel Slifkin, mother of Mark, Rita Harris, sister of Rosalie and aunt of Cheryl and Craig, Mary B. Klein, mother of Linda, Ricky Fisher, son of Leona, Beatrice Lucas, aunt of Barry. During the month of mourning, remember Sam Feldman, husband of Jackie and father of Sarah and Rachel. Isidore Shochat, father of Sam, who died a month before his 103rd birthday. Beverly Fine, sister of Dale. Sylvia Gordon, sister of George Kissel, sister-in-law of Shelley, and aunt of Joe. If you would like to mention a name that I have not mentioned before we say the Kaddish.
And Barry Coffer.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
ועלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיים. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה ברכו. לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, לאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיא, בחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
ואמרו אמן. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'atzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon yinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim ki banu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shavat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashavat. Amen.
L'chaim, I don't know if you understand the magnitude of this moment. The first time in about a year and a half, we have somebody younger than Marcy who is on the bima and is going to lead us in a prayer. Tons of responsibility.
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks
to God for bread. Our voices rising, songs together, as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
And this is all yours. Tomorrow morning, you should make French toast for the whole family.
You may be seated. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Shalom b'romav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al
Shabbat Shalom. Another first, I believe that the oneg is inside, right?
Yes.
We don't have to go to the 175 degrees outside. So please join us for the oneg. It's somewhere in the building. I'm not sure where. But it's not such a big one. Excellent job. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.